Am I the a-hole for saying no when someone asked for a bite of my food? I, 30F, ordered lunch from a charcuterie place next to my job that I had been craving. It cost $45, but I had a good week and my plan was to eat it throughout the day and once I was done share it with everyone else. I sat down to eat my lunch and a coworker came up and asked me if she, 29F, could have a piece. I said no cause I just started to eat and I was hungry and I honestly just didn't want to share my food at this time. She asks why and I said because this is my food and it was $45 and I didn't want to share. She then says, "Are you seriously going to eat that whole thing?" And my response is yeah, probably throughout the whole day. After this she comes back in later and says I hope you're not feeling a certain way about me. I said yeah, I thought what you did was rude cause I was just trying to eat my lunch. She then goes on to explain to me how I was the one that was rude and I should have said no nicer and that she was really hungry and her food wasn't here yet and I should have been nicer. I told her I was done with the conversation and went to sit in the hallway and then I hear her call me a bitch to another coworker. So AITA here? I literally just wanted to eat my food on my time and not share, but if I am the I want to know. Not the a-hole. But calling you a biatch is way out of line. I don't know if you can talk to her about it or report it, but it should be addressed. She's actually a manager. LOL. But I will be speaking to someone else about it when I return to work after the new year. Thank you for your feedback.
That's even worse. Definitely speak to someone over her head when you're back in the office. That's so far out of line.
All this, and no, you never ask someone edit someone at work for food, that's super rude. Not the a-hole.
Exactly. Like, are we in kindergarten? Who is walking around asking people for food?
At least a kindergartner would know you need to trade.
NTA your food, your money, you can share it if you want. Normally, people wait for someone to offer their food. You're cool OP.
Normally people don't expect someone to offer their food. She isn't your child OP and is acting incredibly entitled. I would be pretty upset and grossed out if someone just eyed my food for a bite that wasn't my man or a family member.
I don't even share my food with my boyfriend until I have at least had enough to eat. And he does the same thing. Thank you.
Definitely not the a-hole, like it's your food that you bought with your own money. She can buy her own food. And by the sound of it she doesn't seem like a close coworker to you, so I feel like asking you for a bite is inappropriate and just weird.
It's your lunch that you paid for, and if you don't want to, you have the right not to share it. It will make you nervous.
Yes, asking up for a bite is inappropriate and just looks weird.
NTA. She was rude when she asked if you were seriously going to eat the whole thing. That could be triggering to some people.
Way to trigger me having to now force myself to eat for the next week, thanks. If anyone comments on my food like that, I would lose all appetite.
No kidding. Like, I'm going to take half home and eat it later, duck off now. I can't believe she said that.
NTA, you ordered it first and foremost for yourself. You pay for it. So what if you decided to eat it all yourself? You aren't obligated to share. I would maybe have a different opinion if the colleague was struggling financially and couldn't afford food, but you said your colleague had ordered food which hadn't been delivered yet, so you have to share because they couldn't wait for their own food? It is very entitled to be annoyed when someone says no to a request like this. Also, nothing like a bit of food shaming to try and manipulate someone and make them feel like poop. Joey doesn't share food.
That's exactly how I feel. And once I ate all the things I wanted to eat from it, I literally told everyone to help themselves to the rest. LOL. And some people have said that it's a food made for sharing. So if I would have ordered a $45 steak and she asked, there would have been no issues with me saying no. I'd been wanting one for weeks and just wanted to feel fancy.
You could have bought it intending to bring the leftovers home and still not have been the a-hole. It's perfectly fine if your coworker saw it and asked if it was for sharing or asked for a piece, but she should have taken note for an answer.
I think what pisses me off the most is that after I said no, if she would have been nicer in general, I wouldn't have a problem. It's the fact that she shamed me and called me a brat, and then I heard her call me a bitch afterwards. I've absolutely asked people for a bite of something and they have said no, and I'm like, OMG, sorry. Where did you get it from so I can order it? I really just don't understand why people get so upset when someone says no. LOL.
NTA, a friend of mine made mooncakes, very time consuming, and had them at work. Coworker came up and asked for one, I only had 3. I said no and was called rude. I explained they were brought for me and I decided what I share. You fine, that's just entitlement.
I've done this before as well. Someone brought me something special from another country and I only had a small amount and I didn't want to share because it was a gift for me. No is always a possibility if you ask a yes or no question.
Or heck, even another region of your own. Had a coworker who was taking a trip to my hometown. I live in Texas. His coworker was going on a road trip to St. Louis, and I gave him money to bring me a couple of things that can only be found there. I was not willing to share because the quantity of both things was limited.
NTA, some people are just plain out rude when it comes to food. I used to work with a lady that every time we sat down in the cafeteria at lunch without asking, she would start nibbling off the plates of people surrounding her. She never got her own lunch. She would always just steal a bite or two here and there. One day when she reached for a bite off my plate, I slid my plate away quickly and told her if she wanted food to go buy it just like everyone else. She got angry and said that she wasn't hungry and only wanted a bite. I told her, yeah, well, I am hungry, and I want every bite I paid for. I'm tired of paying for my lunch every day and only getting to eat part of it because you eat off everyone else's plate because you just want a bite or two. She got more defensive until everyone else started speaking up about not liking her habit. She stopped sitting with us at lunch after that.
You can't sit with us, LOL. That's ridiculous. I would be furious. I always ask, and if someone says no, that's literally the end of the interaction. LOL.
I can understand family being close enough to do this, but seeing so many stories of coworkers asking to share food is blowing my mind. One of my coworkers offered a bite of his food to me and it was shocking to me. It was very kind, but I dunno, too familiar for a work setting?
NTA. As a manager, you never want to put a subordinate in a position where they can't say no to a non-work related request. It's an unfair use of power. I'm glad you're reporting this.
I'm the HR generalist at my company and I'm like your colleague did what and called you what? Oh, not just a colleague, a manager. Get them to my office now.
I agree, definitely. I was working with some members of an electrical company and their project manager stopped by. He was taking up a collection of money so his pet could pay to take the test to get his electrical license. $100. If it were so important to the boss man, he could have quietly paid it himself instead of manipulating his subordinates into giving up their own money. Most of these guys were very young apprentices. I clearly remember how dumbfounded they all looked as they reached in their wallets. It was such a crystal clear abuse of authority.
Wow, you made it till the end. Like and subscribe and you could win $1,000.